Hello. Happy Friday, everyone. I am so excited to spend some time with you today, and we are going to be talking about a very, very important topic when it comes to pregnancy and postpartum, and really setting the stage and the foundation for an empowering experience for your transition into parenthood. And this is important no matter how many times you've gone through this process, whether this is your first pregnancy or this is your fifth. It does not matter, because what we are talking about today is boundary setting. And this is one of those topics that I think so many of us know it's important, and yeah, we need to set these boundaries with the people in our community and in our close circle, but oftentimes we feel a little lost, or we might have some guilt around some of these things. And so today I wanted to reiterate the importance of why setting boundaries is so crucial, not only for your own reasons and your partner and all of those things, but also because of the way it impacts your ability to bond with your baby. So we're going to be talking about a lot of different things today about boundary setting, and really how this is one of the most powerful tools in your toolkit to help you create the postpartum experience that you desire. So as a quick form of introduction, my name is Jessie Slutton, and I am your postpartum empowerment coach. I help pregnant parents really feel calm, confident, prepared, and nourished for their transition into parenthood as much as you do for your birth. I talk about this until my face is blue, and I will never stop talking about it, but we are primed to prepare and plan and invest in our birth plan and in our birthing and laboring experience. So important, not here to tell you not to do that. It is very, very critical that we are feeling prepared and have the tools and the support team in our birth. But where so many of us overlook, or we have no idea where to even start, is everything after. I always say that birth is just the beginning, and that is so true. It's often treated, I feel in my experience personally and with working with clients, that, it's kind of like a wedding, right? We plan for the big day. We have all of these things that we're have on our to-do list, our wish list, and we're planning and working tirelessly to make this day the best that it could possibly be and make our dreams come true, right? And the same thing is with the birth. And then when it comes to actually sustaining and nurturing and growing the relationship and the marriage, it's just not something that we think as much about for preparing for and understanding the resources that are out there, and how we want to grow and communicate and really just come together with our partner. The same can be said about postpartum and parenting in general. We plan for the birth, and we often overlook everything that comes after. And so I'm here to change that. That is my passion. That is my goal, is to bring awareness and actionable postpartum planning to your life, because it's so important, and it is something that I highly believe that we shouldn't do alone. And so that's why I'm here to support you in doing that. And I'm very excited about my Planning for Parenthood postpartum planning program. This is what we do. We work together and we come up with a unique postpartum plan for you and your family. And we ensure that we approach this from a holistic standpoint. We don't isolate each one of these things. We just don't think about only the infant feeding and the breast or formula feeding goals. We don't just think about how to heal your body from the inside out. We don't just think about how your relationship with your partner needs to be nurtured and tended to. We think about it all together as a holistic, foundational journey. And so that is what you will get when you join the P4 program, is how I like to refer to it, since it's kind of a mouthful to say the full title. But if you're interested in learning more about if this program would be a really good fit for you, and by the way, I think it would be, feel free to schedule a free clarity call with me. During this call, we sit down heart to heart, face to face, over Zoom and we talk about what your goals are. What planning have you already done for postpartum? What does your support system look like? How's your nutrition so far been in pregnancy? How has your pregnancy experience been in general? Your health, your mental health, all of these things. We talk about it, and then we really look at where some of the gaps might be and how we can fill those in using the P4 program and to see if it's a great fit for you. And I answer all your questions, your concerns. I love to hear about your goals and what your ideal postpartum really looks like and how this program can make that happen for you. So again, you can schedule a free clarity call with me for my Instagram folks. You can find that link in my bio. So head on over there, click that, find a time that works for you. If it does not seem to be a time that works for your schedule, just DM me. We'll talk about it. We'll find something that works. For my Facebook friends, I have it actually right here in the description of this video, as well as a pinned comment in the comment section. So feel free to schedule some time or reach out to me if you can't find any time to get together. All right, let's dive into our topic today. We are going to be talking all about, as I mentioned at the beginning, setting and establishing boundaries and really understanding how to do this in an authentic way for you and your partner, and to really figure out why it's so important to have this established in pregnancy, if you can, versus trying to figure it out after baby has already been here. So there's a lot of great benefits with establishing boundaries at any time in your life, whether or not you're pregnant, whether or not you're postpartum. But this is one of those critical phases in our life where things kind of change, right? We have shifting priorities when we become parents. We start to have a shifting identity within ourselves when we become a parent, and understanding what things are important to us, what things we can let go of. Our relationships with different people start shifting and changing and evolving. And there's a lot of different things that are moving parts when it comes to figuring out what boundaries feel good for you, feel good for your partner, feel supportive, and really how to communicate that effectively with your support team and the family and friends who want to celebrate with you, who are excited about the arrival of your little one, and how best you can do that. So this training is going to be about really understanding why it is so important and the benefits of establishing these boundaries. And then if you're looking for the help with actually crafting these conversations, how to navigate them with family and friends, how to work through that internal dialogue that is inevitably going to come up if you are having some guilt or some struggle with that internal decision making and being able to communicate that effectively, that's what I'm here for. So this is something that we will definitely have ability to coach on in the P4 program, so we can extend all of this into really, actionable pieces that feel authentic and good for you and that fit your scenarios. So the first thing that I wanted to cover today about why it's so important, and kind of this this really ability for you to be able to set and establish and communicate these boundaries, is really just the clarity and the expectations are out in the open from the beginning. Okay? So setting these boundaries and very clearly communicating them as boundaries and not just requests, I think that's a very important thing that we distinguish. Is sometimes when we think we're setting boundaries and we are establishing what we will and will not accept, and what we are trying to create as this family unit within our own little family system that's nestled within a larger family system. Sometimes we do it in a way that comes across as a request, and requests can be granted or they can be rejected, right? And so I think it's really important that we are clear and that it is truly an established boundary and not just a request that we are making with our family and friends, because it really helps everyone understand what is acceptable and what isn't. And this really reduces the misunderstandings and potential conflicts in the future that can arise. Now, this is not to say that these conversations cannot be difficult. Often they are, and often there's a lot of emotion that can be attached to these conversations, and that's okay. What's not okay is when we start slipping into some of those people-pleasing kind of patterns where we start taking on responsibility for other people's emotions and how they are reacting to our boundaries. And it's very easy to do. And that's why it's so helpful to have someone like me in the program to help you navigate those feelings and to really allow you to feel seen, heard, and in control of how you are responsible for your own emotions and establishing these boundaries, and how the people you are giving them to, that's their responsibility, and their emotions are theirs to own, not for you. So it's very helpful to have that community and that validation in your back pocket when inevitably these conversations can get tricky sometimes. But again, clarity and expectations and really being clear that these are boundaries and not requests are really important. So the second thing that can really benefit you in creating these boundaries and communicating them in pregnancy is really setting the foundation for emotional and physical well-being. So from the very beginning, you can have this out in the open and understood by everyone who's here to support you and to welcome your new baby into this world, right? Pregnancy and postpartum are very emotional and physically demanding experiences, right? We are drained, we are exhausted from literally creating and sustaining life within our own bodies. And really being able to have these boundaries established early on, you can create this supportive environment that prioritizes your well-being and allows you to focus on your own needs and the needs of your baby, right? So it's really important that you are protecting your emotional and physical health in pregnancy and the time leading and the time after in postpartum. And when we have these conversations ahead of time, when we have more clarity, when we are not scrambling and trying to figure out how to care for our brand new baby and adjust to life as a parent and all of the things that are already going to be swirling around us in postpartum, and we do that in pregnancy, we really set the stage for how we want to protect our emotional well-being and our physical well-being. So, some of these things that you can think about that I often recommend to my clients, just a couple of ideas here, are really figuring out your visitation hours with visitors. Figuring out who the right people are that you're going to have within your postpartum village, who is going to be a part of your support team, and what each of those people do, what their roles are, and being very clear on that for yourself and for them, and being able to communicate how they can help you, and being very clear on that. And then figuring out even things like visitors in the hospital and who's going to be in your delivery room and all of those things, who can be in there immediately after, or how much time you want with just your baby and your partner in the room, or if you're going to have any visitors at all at the hospital. These are all things you want to figure out and communicate very clearly with people ahead of time so that everybody's on the same page. All right, so we talked about clarity and expectations. We talked about emotional and physical well-being and protecting that and creating a really strong foundation from the beginning. And then we kind of hinted at this in this last piece that I talked about, but it really allows for that privacy and bonding time for you and baby. So really having this special moment after birth and bringing baby home, and really those first few weeks are so critical and so magical and so difficult, and all of the things can happen all at once. It's just the swirl of emotions, right? But it's also a very important time for you and your baby to start getting to know one another, to establish any chest feeding, journeys that you might be wanting to do if you are choosing to go that route with feeding your baby. It's establishing that new change in your relationship with your partner on just becoming, this is our marriage versus this is our family, and this is how we're going to interact, and our expectations around baby care and baby feeding, and how we are going to handle that parenting load together. And so really having that privacy and time to ensure that space to develop that strong bond and attachment and all of those things that you need to really have a great time for rest and recovery and nourishment without feeling overwhelmed by constant visitors or constant people asking when they can come see the baby. If you have all that figured out beforehand, you don't have to stress about it. You can have that protected time. All right, another thing this establishes right up front when you create these boundaries and communicate them clearly is really, it sets a stage for respect for your parental choices. And this is a big one because it's not going to automatically mean everybody is going to respect what you are doing as a parent. And that's something that is unfortunate, but it's also something that's out of our control. But having these boundaries in place means you will respect this boundary, or we will have to figure out what that means if you don't. And understanding what that means, like whether that's, oh, if you can't respect the fact that X, Y, and Z, we need this time, we need this space, or whatever, then this is when we will be seeing you, if at all. It really depends on the person and the relationship, right? I always tell my clients and anybody really, any new parent, that pregnancy and postpartum are kind of these times where we really see who our ride or die people are, right? And we really see who are those people who, even if they don't maybe agree with some of the things that we are doing with our parenting journey, they at least can respect the fact that you are the parent and that that is your decision to make. And sometimes we really can see more clearly when there might be some toxic relationships that we've held on to in our life. And these really evolutionary changes of becoming a parent and navigating birth and navigating postpartum is kind of the opportunity where sometimes we flush those out and we really learn to let go of some of those more toxic relationships that might not be serving you or your family. And those are very difficult things to navigate. And again, you shouldn't have to do that alone. But it is something that comes up often in this time because it is a time rooted in change, rooted in evolution. And so often that means that we are going to see things a little more clearly when it comes to when things don't align with who we are and who we are becoming as parents. So the final thing I wanted to share is this all really just helps reduce stress. When we have it established, we have some of these crucial conversations ahead of time. We understand who's going to be visiting when. We understand, other boundaries that we have in place around certain things about our parenting choices. Things we want to request of visitors when they come to visit. Who can help with what. Then this really establishes a opportunity for you to breathe a little easier in the postpartum time frame because you've done it already in pregnancy and you've established this. It really helps reduce that stress. And that is so, so important when you are trying to heal. Stress, you don't want any extra stress than you already are going to have as a new parent. So adding on these other things is something that we want to try to erase. We don't want that around, right? We don't need this extra stress of having to have all of these difficult conversations or not having the conversations and then being stuck and feeling like we're being completely overlooked or unheard or our choices are not being respected or any of these things. If we have the conversations in the beginning, we don't have to have as much of that stress and pressure on our shoulders once baby comes because we've established it already. So those are really the 5 biggest benefits to establishing these boundaries with family and friends and support circles and all of those things that are within your own little community, and why you should really approach that during the pregnancy time frame and how that helps you, your partner, and your baby have this protected time to bond and to really just be able to recover from birth and feel like you are seen, heard, and in control as much as possible of your postpartum time frame. So again, if you are looking for some more guidance on how to create these conversations, what boundaries you might not even realize you need to put into place, and other things you might be struggling with around creating something like this for yourself for your own postpartum time frame, then you need to get on a call with me. So be sure to schedule that clarity call and we will talk about working together. This is definitely something that we coach on in the P4 program. And I also work very, very heavily with my one-on-one clients on this as well. But if you schedule that call, we can talk about how we can work together in the best way to make sure you feel seen, heard, and in control of your transition into parenthood in the most supported way. So thanks for joining me. If you guys joined live, I did not see you if you joined live, so I'm so sorry. Sometimes it doesn't notify me. So if you were here live with me, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. If you're watching the replay, as always, drop your questions in the comments and I will be happy to circle around and answer those. And I'd love to hear if you had any aha moments or if anything resonated with you today. So anyway, I will see you all next week with the next training we're going to have on the books, and I will be announcing that soon, so look for that, and I will see you all very soon. Bye!